A man came to rescue a horse stranded in a swamp. Then something incredible happened. A wild horse found itself trapped in deep mud, struggling for hours in a desperate attempt to break free. In Alberta, Canada, relentless rains had transformed the landscape into an expanse of thick, treacherous mud. A wild horse, galloping swiftly along the forest's edge, tragically misstepped and plunged into a deep mud pit. The moment it fell, the horse fought fiercely to free itself, but every effort only caused it to sink further. The sticky mire began to engulf its body, pulling it deeper with each frantic struggle. Panicked and desperate, the horse flailed in vain, trying to grasp the edge of the pit with its front legs. Despite its powerful hind legs being its greatest strength, they were no match for the unyielding grip of the swamp. The horse was utterly trapped, unable to escape. Helplessly, it thrashed about, its desperate attempts to free itself proving futile. For hours, the animal struggled against the mud, occasionally appearing on the verge of breaking free, only to be pulled back into the mire. Exhaustion soon set in, and every movement dragged it deeper. Completely drained of energy, the horse finally collapsed, lying motionless in the mud. Gasping for breath, the horse was overwhelmed by a mounting sense of despair, as if escape was impossible. With no sign of help in sight, the weight of hopelessness grew heavier, amplifying its feeling of abandonment. Even if it had cried out, there was no one around to hear its plea. Everything seemed to indicate that these were its final moments. But then something unexpected happened. A man appeared at the edge of the forest. Daryl Clever, a local farmer. Daryl, who kept horses at his nearby farm, was quite familiar with these four-legged creatures. That day, he had been walking in the forest, marking trees he could cut for use. Suddenly, an unusual sound caught his attention, stopping him in his tracks. Curious about the source of the sound, Daryl began searching and eventually spotted the horse stuck in the mud from a distance. At first, he didn't realize how serious the situation was, but after watching the wild horse struggle for a few minutes, Daryl understood the gravity of the situation. The horse was desperately trying to free itself, but to no avail. Seeing the horse fighting for its life, Daryl couldn't just stand by. The poor animal needed saving. He rushed over to assess the situation, ran to his truck, grabbed a rope, and attempted to lasso the horse. However, horses are far heavier than the average person, and no matter how hard Daryl tried, the horse didn't budge an inch. Realizing it was impossible to free the horse on his own, he quickly came up with a new plan. Daryl ran back to his truck, grabbed some hay and water, and returned to the horse. He fed it and gave it water to drink. Then he drove swiftly to town to get help. 45 minutes later, Daryl returned to the forest, this time with a few members of the bear family. With more people, their chances of freeing the horse were higher. They had also brought 2 off-road vehicles with them, which they hoped to use in the rescue. They quickly devised a plan. They would attach harnesses to the horse and connect a rope to the vehicles. By pulling with the off-road vehicles, they hoped to drag the horse out of the swamp, and they hoped this plan would work. But there was no guarantee. No one was certain the rescue operation would succeed. Still, the small team moved quickly to carry it out. They placed the harnesses around the tired and weary horse. The animal no longer had the strength to resist and seemed to understand that the people were trying to save it. The off-road vehicles began pulling gently at first, then with increasing force. They were ready to stop at any sign of the horse being in pain. But the horse showed no discomfort. It seemed more determined than ever to regain its freedom. After several attempts, the horse began to shift, a hopeful sign that encouraged Daryl to press on. Stepping out of the vehicle, he carefully adjusted the harness to the opposite side of the horse, ensuring the ropes were secure and wouldn't slip. Once everything was in place, they resumed the effort. Slowly but surely, the horse began to inch its way out of the swamp. Realizing it was nearing freedom, the horse summoned every ounce of strength, its legs kicking with renewed determination. With one final push, it broke free from the mud and stood tall, letting out a triumphant neigh that echoed through the air, a proud declaration of its hard-won liberation. Daryl and his team wasted no time removing the harnesses and wiping away the thick layer of mud coating the horse's body. As they stood back, applauding and congratulating each other on the successful rescue, the young horse did something that left them all astonished. Slowly, it turned toward the group, stepped closer, and lowered its head, locking eyes with Daryl and the others. At that moment, it seemed as though the horse was expressing its gratitude, gently nodding as if to thank them for their compassion. Daryl didn't know what to say. Instead, he gently reached out, stroking the wild horse's nose with a quiet reverence. As he fought back tears, a profound sense of pride swelled within him. With a final glance, the horse turned and galloped away, its powerful strides filled with joy and newfound freedom, until it vanished into the untamed wilderness. What an incredible story! If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below. See you in the next video.